Hi, and thank you for watching TargetedWest.com, the work group for V2K. We also do gang stalking and cost stalking, of course. My name is DJ Chris. We do directed energy weapons too. It is show number 179. It is the 21st of September, 2025. The opinions of our guests are that of their own and not that of DJ Chris. We have a guest tonight. Craig Laforest will be joining us, and we're glad to have him with us as a returning guest. He was here before with us before, and he's back again. So I have a few questions for Craig. How are you today?
Great, Chris. Wonderful to be here. Beautiful day here. It's Monday, the 22nd of September, 11 o'clock in the morning. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We've had a lot of rain recently pouring down and creating a lot of strife in Sydney, but we've got the sunshine coming as we're coming into spring now.
Gotcha. Well, great. So share your story and background a little bit and how about you and where you're from and all that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Again, wonderful to be here and wonderful to see so many people on this program. Some of you may have heard my story in the past, but hopefully there are some new people who haven't heard the story, and I hope that through this today I can help them as well. So I born in Sydney, Australia in 1953. I'm now 72. English mother, Australian father. They met during World War II in England. My father was doing the sorties out of Lincolnshire over Europe. One of four boys, the third of four boys. Studied in England for a year when I was very young. Mum took the four boys to England by a ship, which was an incredible experience. Had the year over there studying at school and came back by ship also. So my passion has always been around the ocean, seas, and ships. I studied and received a Bachelor of Commerce and was an accountant for several years. However, the passion, the attraction for me remained the oceans and the sea and ships. I wanted to be more involved in operations and marketing and meeting a lot of people. I was offered a position and moved to Los Angeles in 1983 as general manager of an outbound incentive company. I had worked in Tahiti and had a great knowledge of French Polynesia, and then started my own business in Tahiti handling cruise vessels. I was also director for a luxury cruise line based in Los Angeles. I, as I said, moved to LA in 83. I returned to Sydney for my retirement and have taken care of foster respite children and work at home with non-profit organisations. Have held concerts in my home for organisations like the Cancer Council and the Wayside Chapel, which is a homeless organisation here in Sydney. However, unfortunately, I can't do that anymore because of the continuous technology attacks on me, Chris.
That's terrible. So when were you first targeted? Do you recall at all when that happened?
I've been targeted for approximately 35 years. I speak about what I do is I speak about these technologies on panels and radio around the world. Victims of these technologies are being experimented on illegally with brain implant chips and brain scanning. As we know, these ENT doctors, surgeons and dentists are implanting people without their consent while they're in surgery for a basic operation and where general anesthetic is required. And if you want to get more information about this, just look at the video that I think it was President Clinton put out in October of 1993, where people went into hospital for basic surgery and came out with burns on their body. And after an 18-month investigation, they found out that radiation was being tested on individuals. Outrageous, and this is what we're going through. So we have these non-consensual brain implants, extremely difficult to find via MRIs, CAT scans, and X-rays, as they're very small, are not all made of metal, and once lodged in the skull, they can be grown over very easily with bone calcification. Very easy to miss by a radiologist who is typically looking for a brain tumor. Transmission happens through the eyes, which I have, as do all TIs. which is part of what I refer to as the predators, these perpetrators consider a privilege of abuse as part of the technology. Via my brain implants, I'm tortured with waves of radiation transmission burns on my body every night, and I receive very clear voices and images. I have computer-generated nightmares every single night. I can be at home or traveling at every latitude and longitude on Earth in a ship or on a plane, and I am targeted. From the North Cape down to Antarctica, where I've been about 4 times, I'm just blown off my feet by these idiots using this technology on me. So I believe it happened. I believe the implanting happened when I was living in Los Angeles, Chris.
Gotcha. One of the other questions I was going to ask you was how do they get the implants into your head? Do you have an idea how that works? When do they do it? During operations and surgeries?
Yeah, during operations and surgeries, very easy. And I'll talk about how that method happens in a little while if I can.
Yeah, I just saw that. Okay. This is a question I'm confused about. How do they cast the people they use? How do they cast them? Well, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, the victims are usually people who have a focus on a really good life and are associated with a higher mental understanding. We found that approximately 60% are women and 40% men, and many are single and isolated. I've provided these criminals the opportunity to research their experimentation on me everywhere I have mentioned. I receive incredibly strong pressure points, as do a lot of TIs behind my nose, my brow, and certain other areas around my skull. And I can literally feel the pulse of the voice on my fingers when I place them at certain parts on my head, Chris.
That's absolutely incredible. Do you know who in your life might be associated with this technology that caused this?
Between 2009 and 2011, when I was deciding to come back to Australia, I lived in Malibu, Los Angeles, for part of the time with James Cameron, the scientist and director of Avatar and Terminator and Titanic. I knew his present wife, Susie, was there all the time with the 3 children that were born between them. And one instance, I visited ILabs, ILABS, the Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences in Seattle with Jim. And we saw where a child was used to project thoughts onto a screen. The child should have been protected from any form of experimentation. There was no reaction from the people experimenting on the child and no reaction from Cameron. I had many strange situations with Jim while living with him. I've always heard V2K voices after my time in Seattle at iLabs, and I believe Jim was the main person behind my targeting. There hasn't been any communication from him. I've tried to contact him many times by phone and email, and he doesn't respond to any question from me about these technologies. Through my research, when I understood what was happening to me, I was also introduced to ex-CIA scientist, Dr. Robert Duncan, and he became a really great friend of mine. And he developed the technologies for the CIA. There's a wonderful discussion with Robert when he flew down to Australia in January 2023, and he did a presentation in my home. We had a live audience. So if your guest today would like to have a look at that, it's on my YouTube channel under my name, Craig Laforest. You just click on my face, and the presentation is 1 hour and 14 minutes. And it was an amazing experience. He literally expanded everything that we already knew about Robert's involvement with the CIA and told us how the CIA would just go into hospitals and pick out patients that they wanted to and use them for experimentation. So when Robert discovered that he saw the technologies that he he developed being used on his citizens, he became a whistleblower for 25 years. And unfortunately, as you know, we lost him last year in July. Last year when I went to a TI event in Colorado Springs, he was going to join me over there with Dr. Lambert, Anna Toledo, and Richard Lighthouse. And yeah, he was murdered. He was murdered.
Yes, he was. That's what they're saying. Do you find in Australia, did the doctors respond well to people having voices or V2K, or how do they react in Australia? The same as US or differently?
No, it's exactly the same, Chris. When the victims hear the voices, the general practitioners, GPs and psychologists and psychiatrists are just passing us all off as delusional or schizophrenic. It's an easy excuse. I rarely respond to the perpetrators in my head. When I'm engaged to speak in conferences or speak to victims around the world, I stress the victims, because of what we go through in seeing these doctors, so-called doctors, I stress to the victim, try and adopt what's called the grey rock method. Never respond to the narcissist who is speaking in your head. I dismiss these criminals, and they are criminals, as cats, C-A-T-S, cowards, actors and traitors to their country and to themselves. And we have quite a few people who are victims here in Australia. And one day I just say to my friends, one day the cat will run out of its 9 lives. As I've already mentioned, there is also, of course, transmission through the eyes, which we have. It's an easy component to understand all the technology. So I can be sitting watching a program like Jeopardy, and I can be fed all the answers to a football question. And as much as I enjoy watching the footballers, I don't respond then to the voices. I have the voices coming in and giving me the answers, and I don't respond at all. I could be on a cruise ship playing trivia and I'm given the answers. So then there's a decision. Do I go and play trivia or not because I'm given the answers? And most people, when I share the information, think, well, this is really great. Well, no, if you don't realize what people are going through as part of this technology, it's just simply not acceptable. So the wonderful thing that I have is that I've got an incredible base group of friends, doctors and scientists who have researched all the information about V2K and directed energy radiation weapons. They share this information with others around the world also, but we have many victims who don't have anyone they can talk to. When you consider, Chris, what a privileged life is, we have perpetrators, people who have no soul, who are not only the usual dictators around the world in different countries, but the ones behind technology and experiments. I'm a very spiritual man, and I believe that the wrath of God will come down on the perpetrators of this war crime one day. Life is a test. It's a privilege for so many of us to be here. Idiots who support these technologies, while, for example, 21,000 children die every single day through lack of water and malnutrition, lack of clean water and food. So they will see the wrath of my Creator.
Gotcha. Speaking of famine and wars, you had mentioned World War III in some of your previous podcasts you participated in. Is it because of ego, greed, or knowledge of maybe the technology that's got these countries going? Or what is it that will cause World War III? What do you think?
Yeah, I believe that World War II, we lost a lot of people during World War II trying to give us our freedom. And I feel this is like living in World War II, World War III. I had to research these technologies because millions of us are already non-consensually implanted in our brains and or have been scanned. Beginning in, I believe it was 1909 and continuing for 70 years. You may remember, Chris, California led the country in the number of sterilization procedures performed on men and women, often without their full knowledge and consent. I believe there was the researcher Alex Stern, author of the new book, I think it's called Eugenics Nation, Faults and Frontiers. And he said that I've got it here somewhere, hang on a second, I'll just go and pull it over. Here
I
it is.
need to get that. I need to get that book for the book club, by the way.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, it's called Eugenic Nation: Faults and Frontiers of Better Breeding in America. And he said, and I quote, in the early 20th century, across the country, medical superintendents, legislators, and social reformers affiliated with an emerging eugenics movement joined forces to put sterilization laws on the books. Such legislation was motivated by crude theories of human heredity that posted the wholesale inheritance of traits associated with a panoply of feared conditions such as criminality, feeble-mindedness, and sexual deviance. Many sterilization advocates viewed reproductive surgery as a necessary public health intervention that would protect society from deleterious genes and the social and economic costs of managing degenerate stock. While California's eugenics programs were driven in part by anti-Asian and anti-Mexican prejudice, southern states also employed sterilization as a means of controlling African American populations. Amazing, amazing. So it's overwhelming. It's so disgusting what has happened with humanity. So I was just going to mention how you asked me earlier on about how these implants can go into somebody's head, Chris. And if you like, I'll just continue on about that.
Yes, you could, please. If you could, please. Thank you.
Yeah, the implants can be literally injected into areas of the brain. A similar method is now used to take care of cancer on patients who have cancer. Their areas of cancer cells are injected, heated up, and this kills the cancer. For us, the victims of V2K torture, our brains in some cases have been injected with these implants, and when we are literally heated up, as I am, to those pressure, to those pressure points I mentioned, it is agony. It is absolute agony. Precious torture to the perpetrators who benefited from these initial experiments and continue to be benefited. Look, this technology could have been used in the most wonderful way, Chris, for a child to be chipped in their hand so that if one is lost or kidnapped, there's an easy way to find them. They're doing it now in Sweden to protect the children. Also, with Parkinson's disease, people who have Parkinson's, their suffering could be ended easily. And it is. They're getting around to it now by inserting very small cotton-like wire implants placed into the skull so that when the patient loses their voice and their hand mobility, they still have the ability to communicate with their thoughts. They can literally look at a screen, computer screen, and the letters on a keyboard and send messages just by thinking out a message. And that's fantastic. There's a gentleman by the name of Hugh Emanuel, and he has written that the cochlear implant has two pieces which go up through the nose and the mouth into the sinuses and the other area of the cochlea. There is a patent for this, Chris. This technology uses the implants with artificial telepathy, namely the ability to communicate with others with no obvious signs of communication. So for myself, I can literally delineate between my own God-given thoughts and those which are created by an external person, speaking through some form of microphone or computer-generated AI. One of the patents that we have found also confirms that an RFID tag is injected at the back of the throat, and very thin wires are put directly into the medulla oblongata, which is located in the hindbrain anterior to the cerebellum. So the medulla is that cone-shaped neuronal mass responsible for multiple involuntary functions, including vomiting to sneezing. It contains the cardiac, respiratory, and vasomotor centers, and therefore details with the autonomic functions of breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. I'm affected by these daily, and I have to take medication for these, Chris.
Absolutely amazing. I can't believe you go through all that and you're still a trooper and you're still able to do what you do. Absolutely amazing. Now, communication methods have changed over the years. Do you agree with that? And how does that affect the targeting? Do you think since they had cell phones, they're able to target us more?
Yeah, absolutely. 5G, satellites, the ionosphere, you can change the thoughts of a population by bouncing off a message through the ionosphere. And, we're so technologically advanced now. We're in this world. In the last 125 years, we've learned how to build airplanes, televisions, and put satellites into space. We relied on what came out of World War II from the Nazis to develop rockets which can now go to the moon and beyond. We relied on others with greed and a knowledge, and that has been served against us. Families now broken because of this technology, because of B2K technology and directed energy weapons. In my family, I have one member who supports me, and so many suffering from B2K have tried to tell their family members about how they're hearing voices, being hurt by the transmissions, burning, and the abuse that they go through with the B2K voices, only to be dissed and discarded. As I mentioned earlier, I was a very good friend of Robert, ex-CIA scientist. Robert was one of the developers of B2K technology, and he stepped away from further development because the victims became us, you and I, Chris, United States citizens, Australian citizens, so many citizens around the world. And Robert wanted to do the right thing. He stated, and I've got his book here, he stated, this is a global phenomenon. There is nowhere on Earth you can escape. The full spectrum of electromagnetic energy and physics are combined in this. From the ground, wavelengths travel through the ionosphere, bounce off it, and the Earth ground. We are bathed in a natural magnetic field of Earth. With those two things, you have a nuclear magnetic resonance machine, and surveillance is available when you integrate these with satellites. So what's basically happening is all of us, all of the victims who are being targeted, we're being slowly murdered. To think it's taken so long, for example, for the Vets Administration to understand exactly how and why your vets and our vets and other countries' vets are being medicated for anxiety, depression, or PTSD. I think it was Lieutenant, I can't remember exactly, Lieutenant Colonel or Colonel Bart Billings, he stated that 98% of the depressed, anxious, and post-traumatic syndrome vets are medicated by psychiatrists in the field with psychotropic drugs, including all the names that we hear through the commercials: Zoloft, Seroquel, Xanax, Cyprina, Paxil, Prozac. The vets reacted to these drugs with enormous conflict, not because of going into war. 85% of these guys and women hooked to these drugs never saw combat, but because the psychiatrists have kept adding to the medication or taken them off one to put them onto another. And this is what is exactly happening to V2K victims. We see general practitioners, specialists, and dentists involved as perpetrators, and the circle goes round and round, on and on. Doctors always suggest taking some form of medication. We are not delusional. We are healthy people, and people who are fighting a wrong caused by others. It's just changed. The main question which has changed humanity is, and Robert referred to this, he said, why continue hurting people? And he would say, once they have world domination, then what? And he stated that the perpetrators of this crime don't believe humans with technological capability can stop their inherent sinfulness. And so they're using a system where there is a global hive mind, a peer system with no secrecy, no judgment, and they work from that state. Of course, Robert disagreed with the methodology to torture innocent people like us in order to get the data. He called the program Satan, S-A-T-A-N, the silent assassination to adapt to their own networks. This application has phenomenal applications, but our privilege of life, Chris, is just taken away because we are the experimental guinea pigs. And in your country alone, you just have to type into Google unethical experimentation of US citizens, and there's a plethora there of information. We've just one chapter in that about what's happening through the CIA and DARPA using us for experiments.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for all those questions so far. Now I have a question for you about Icator. Do you have any updates about them?
I do, mate, and thank you. Icator, I-C-A-T-O-R. I'm a board member of Icator based in Belgium, Brussels, and it stands for the International Coalition Against Electronic Torture and Robotization of Living Beings. Our website, if you'd like to have a look at it, anyone, is www.icator.be. We are a non-profit organisation. We're so heavily involved in finding specialists at this stage and making them aware of the technologies, and we're creating a special clinic. That's one of the focus items that we're involved with, where people can be tested for any brain damage. I recently had a couple of tests done here in Sydney. I can't get the test that Dr. Len Baer has suggested people do, but I was able to get a couple, and yeah, I've got damage on the left-hand side of my brain with possible Meniere's disease. So we hope in the future, with the assistance of the physicist Dr. Barry Trower, great guy, and Barry was ex-MI5, microwave radiation expert. He's talked so much about how innocent civilians are being used as guinea pigs, and several of Barry's incredible presentations are on our Icator website. He produced a paper, and this is just fascinating. He produced a paper in which he stated that in 3 generations' time, which is only 60 years from now, 1 out of 8 children will be born healthy. The rest, 7 children, will be born with some form of autism, cancer, or handicap. You know, children are being tortured today with V2K transmissions. We hear about that now so much. And microwave from satellites, 5G, and directly from the ionosphere. So it's a big job for us. Our president, Melanie Vritshan, has been invited to speak at the UN in Geneva, which she will do in the first quarter of next year. We're also fundraising, and if anybody would like to help our cause, thank you very much in advance. Please just go to our website, and the address is on there. The link is on there, so you can help us.
What is the URL one more time, please?
It's www.icator.be. I for international, C for country, A for Australia, T for target, O for Oscar, R for Romeo.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, do you have any final comments for our interview before we go to Q&A mode?
Oh, thanks so much again, Chris. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you to your audience members, and God bless all of you for the hell you go through. I know what you go through. We've just got to stop any organization using these weapons now and in the future. It's a precious privilege, I consider, to be here on Earth, and future generations are just only going to suffer deliberately and disastrously if we're not told by a whistleblower the way that victims have been put into this ridiculous torture program, and how the scanning continues to be operated, and who is using these technology on us for the sake of our children and our children's children. Thanks, Chris, very much.
You're welcome. We'll switch to Q&A mode and see what people have to say. Hold on a moment, please. While we switch, you may have to star 6, Craig, after I switch modes on you.
Sure, man.
Okay, no worries. Let's go ahead and switch. People can ask you questions. Here we go. Well, hi, we're with Craig Laforest here today. He's live with us, and we have 80 people in the audience. Craig is listening for your questions, and I'm ready to take them. Do you have a question for Craig? Come on in.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, hi, Craig. So first of all, I saw your on YouTube your presentation where you were co-hosting with Robert Duncan many months back, and got to say I'm a huge fan, if you can call it being a fan, and just thank you for the kind of activism that you've been doing on behalf of all the TIs.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. My question is, since you're based outside of the United States of America, do you know, do other countries have similar sort of covert programs where people can be implanted in a dental office or surgeries without consent? And if yes, what tends to be similar to what's happening in the United States? What tends to be different? Just if you don't mind, from your experience and your knowledge, give us a little bit as to how this stuff works outside of the U.S. Thank you.
Certainly. The program post-World War II, 800 of the Nazi scientists were brought over as part of Project Monarch and Project Paperclip. They were brought over instead of going to the Nuremberg trials and being hanged, as they should have been. The US government brought them over, and as long as they told the US government everything they knew about what they had experimented on children and women, particularly in the concentration camps, trying to understand the mind, how to change the thoughts of people. So 800 of them came over, in addition to another 800 who were involved with jet propulsion. And some of them also went to the United Kingdom and to Russia. So what happened was, through the MK Ultra program, which started in 1953 and was supposed to end in 1972, typically these programs never end. There's got to be someone who comes along and says, no, we've got to be stronger than this country. And we see this in the world at the moment. And your country is heavily involved in this at the moment. We see what's happening with Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Gaza. So we are based in Brussels. We have members who are in various parts of the world, and it's a common way to be able to chip people, implant people, typically through having basic surgery. As I had basic surgery when I was in the United States and also in Australia. And there's no difference really. We are all hearing the same messages being beamed into our heads. And there's just a commonality. And as Robert Duncan said, you know, there's this narrative that they use, and they use it on me every single day. They call me the most disgusting terms, and they give me the visuals and of disgusting situations, particularly during the nightmares that I get every single night now. So it's absolutely common around the world. China has it. We have a representative in Germany, in Spain, in the United Kingdom, and it's just the same technology. Again, a country trying to keep ahead of another country to be the big power, and we have millions of victims around the world who are finally, you know, how do I say? I don't want to say waking up to the fact, but they're hearing these voices, and they don't have even the introduction to programs like Chris's program to be able to come and listen and share information and talk about it. So in answer to your question, it's rampant. It's everywhere around the world. And thank you for your lovely comment as well.
Next question for Craig. Come on in. Next person in line for a question with Craig. Come on in.
I have a question about the scans. I wondered what your opinion is of these scans that are being done.
Yeah, I know that Jesse Beltran is involved in this as well now. He's got a very interesting background, and I know a couple of victims who recently went to have the scans and showed that there were implants in their bodies. The next question is, what do you do with that information now that you have it? Yeah, you're an independent person. You don't have a lot of people supporting you. You go home, you think, right, here it is. This guy has given me these scans, and what do I do with them? It's similar to what I went through here in Sydney, Australia. Again, depending on the person who's doing the scanning, what do you do? I've spoken to neurologists who have told me that they see these what are called LFOs, light foreign objects, in their brain, but they don't go into that area because the brain is such a critical part of our bodies. They're typically looking for tumors. So hopefully one day we will have somebody, and we're trying to find those specialists in Brussels we're getting there. It's taken us years, but we're slowly getting to the point where specialists are understanding that this is a technology that's being used. There are too many people speaking up and saying, I'm hearing voices, I'm being tortured. And these are respectful people, and you know, in all, coming from all walks of life. So yeah, I I believe there's a big cover-up. There's a big cover-up here in Australia. I was just passed off as being delusional schizophrenic, which is okay. I'll listen to you, you know. And the example was, look, if you're hearing voices, it's, you know, men from Mars landing on the planet. It's similar, Craig, to the Earth being flat. So you go through this. I've gone through this for years, and a lot of you may go through this, but just stay strong through this, because one day there will be somebody who says, I know about this technology, I am a specialist, and I will prove what's going on here. Either a surgeon or one of these people who is presently helping us. It's just stay strong through this process. It's very difficult, I understand, but again, come on programs like this and share the information. Just keep sharing and sharing.
Thank you for your question. Next question in line for Craig.
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear
Yes,
you.
sir.
Come on in.
Yeah, can you answer why some people do not get V2K, but they're targeted on all the other aspects?
I believe it's a very short amount. Once you, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. I think that once you recognize that there are subliminal messages coming into your head, and once you recognize that they're coming from another source, they're not your natural God-given thoughts, you're onto it. You're onto it. I believe anybody who is targeted, it has a possibility of eventually hearing the V2K. And I've heard that from victims. And that's what happened to me. I would be sitting at home in Los Angeles, and the thoughts would come in, and in reflection, it was just so easy now to look back and go, hang on, that was when it was happening in LA. That's when it was happening. So I think it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, because there's really no point in just burning someone through transmissions without extending that or having that component of the technology being used on them as well. And again, back to, if you're we are electrical beings. We have 100 billion neurons in our brain, and they're all unique. It's like a handprint or a snowflake. So once somebody is able to scan your brain and put in subliminal messages, you think the thought is your own, but it's not. And I'm able, as I mentioned earlier on, I'm able to delineate between those now. They try to trick me and I just don't respond to it. I can see it go across the front part of my brain, the back part, I hear the voices, but I can see it very easily now. So I think it's just a matter of time that you just sit in a room and see if a thought comes in. They've got so many people in the CIA and DARPA working on this technology. When we were out in Colorado Springs last year for a targeted event, we went out into the fields there, and they've got 10 floors underground of people sitting there monitoring people and using people like us. It's happening all around the world. So I hope you don't get the V2K, but if you do, you've got a support group.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next question in line. Come on in.
Yes. Yes. Hi. I have a question. So can you kind of clarify the connection between this technology and autism? Because you mentioned something that was really frightening, that in the future only 1 in 8 children will be born normal, and that the rest will have autism and such as cancer. Explain how that autism is manufactured by this weapon.
Yeah, so it's very deliberate, and it's very sad to see what's happening to humanity. And as I mentioned just earlier on, the technology is so advanced and so deliberate, and so it's just like a cancer, that it is having the effect on the men's sperm, it's having an effect on the eggs of the woman. So the DNA is being passed down through generations. And when the physicist Barry Trower mentioned this, and in 3 generations, this was 10 years ago he said this, and his video is on our website, where he had published papers. And to have papers published, you need to have the respect of other people in that level of intelligence. And it's unfortunate. We're seeing in Australia a 57% increase in autism. We're seeing people who, just through basic, how do I say this in a nice way for the people who may be suffering from this? Look, there are just so many people we're finding now. I speak to dentists who are finding a higher level of gingivitis, and people who are having teeth pulled, younger people, because of having the phone at their head all the time. It's coming through 5G. So yeah, autism's on the increase, and I'm seeing that. I do a lot of work with children still when I can, and I'm seeing an increase. And I talk to friends and families, and they're seeing changes in the child. But the most compelling point is that through the transmissions, the egg of the woman is being damaged, as is the sperm of the man. So when you pass this down through generations, you end up with children who are autistic or having a higher level of cancer.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question in line for Craig. Come on in. Don't be shy. Come on in. It's Craig Laforest.
Hi, Craig. I've got a question. How are you?
Hi. Who's this?
It's Rich here. How are you, Craig?
Oh, hi, Richie. Hi.
Yeah, I'm just curious because your targeting occurred so long ago. So for me, it was in IV, right? And it was pretty obvious. So I guess we would call that nanotech, I suppose. But in your case, it was so much. It was so long ago. So do you suspect also something injectable, or do you actually suspect some other form of tech, as in something more physically, like a chip or something? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, either chip, injection. It's so easy now with what they're doing with the injections for cancer. They're able to take this product that they're injecting into people and use a magnet to move it around into the body where the cancer is, and then heat it up and destroying the cells of the cancer, which is wonderful, which is absolutely wonderful. So that's one of the ways that they can do it. Or a lot of us suffer from this high level of tinnitus, and that's what we're always told we have. There's nothing else going on in our heads. We know what's going on. So to your point, Rich, there are so many ways they can do this now, and it's become overwhelming. It's just absolutely become overwhelming. But good to see you on here, mate, another Australian, which is really nice. You know what we're going through down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Rich.
Next question for Craig. Come on in. It's Q&A. We have almost 90 people on the call right now, so you're very popular today. So there should be people asking questions. Did anybody have a question for Craig?
Ask another question then. In your conversations with Robert Duncan, did he ever discuss the reason for the people who are getting the heavy organized stalking, the connection?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a certain component of this technology where there's availability. They have the CIA, DARPA, all of these organizations have people who monitor people very closely, and the stalking is real. We have to be very careful though about who we believe who is doing this. Most of the time we don't recognize that the microwaves, radiation can come through walls, can come through glass and hit the person. I don't know why I was a control victim. I believe that a lot of us, I was traveling so much, and I think I was a prime example of somebody who could be used and tested on. And I think with the stalking component, mine's pretty heavy now from an external point of view. So when I'm on a plane or on a ship anywhere in the world, I'm hit. And I'm not dismissing that there are some people who really enjoy hurting other people. This is an evil technology. And I think with the funding of this technology, people are able to really just basically use other people and send people and annoy them. I don't think they would travel on a ship with me or on a plane with me. I know how that's done via satellite, but certainly part of this component, depending on who puts you in on this list as a target. And we hear the stories of the Freemasons, we hear the stories of military and how people have a family history of somebody in the military, for example, and that person, it goes right through the family. So, yeah, it's an evil part of the technology, unfortunately, and I'm sorry if you're going through that.
Thank you for that. We have a question from the chat room. Does Craig have a shielding method that he prefers? Do you use shielding at all, Craig?
I'm at the point I tried various things, and nothing stops this coming through and burning my body. I'm burnt all over my body. My feet swell up. I get burns on my chest, burns on my arm, everywhere, the top of my head. I'm losing my hair. Used to have a great head of hair but it's gone because of this. So I don't have any shielding, and I'm not going to live in an environment where I'm caging myself in. I never have, and I never will. I'm not going to put wire around myself or wear the hats, because I hear in a lot of cases that they simply don't work. And so all I would suggest is be very careful, because I've seen some people on Facebook trying to sell something to protect victims of these technologies. But I won't go that far. I'll keep talking about this as often as I can. And I've been very close to death several times. They've taken me to that point. And I'm just not going to stop talking about it. And I'm not going to wear these things, because look, when I went to the doctor, and the doctor would say, take this medication. Well, that lasted for 2 days before the V2K just increased the volume in my head. So I'm not going to try to protect myself with any of these devices. I'm not going to walk around the streets of Sydney or anywhere in the world wearing something. If you want to really believe that this is the way that life is and the way that life should be, and I'm speaking to the criminals here, then go ahead. Because again, the wrath of my God will come down on you one day.
Amen, brother, on that. Any more questions for Craig before we switch over to the book club? Last call for questions for Craig.
Hello?
Hello, come on in.
Yeah, hi, Craig. My name is Igor. We have met.
Igor. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Come on in.
Good.
You're in Russia, I believe, yes.
Yes, Craig, we have met at Colorado Springs at the rally. My question is, I have a 4-year-old son, right? And
yes.
I'm thinking to get him scanned with Jesse. And if in case he doesn't have nothing yet, just try to keep scanning him every year. And in case we'll found something, just leave the country as soon as possible. You think it'd be too late to leave a country if we find anything in him?
May I ask, do you have any background at all with, you're living in Russia, are you?
Yes, my background in ice hockey. I spent 30 years, I played 20 professional seasons in ice hockey. Okay.
I would suggest you stay where you are. A lot of people feel that they can move from state to state. I know now, I used to live in LA, as I mentioned earlier on, and I know that when I was subliminally spoken to get out of Los Angeles, again, as part of this evil technology, and I came back to Australia, the first thing they said to me when I walked in and sat down on the couch in my condominium was, don't just think because you've left Los Angeles that we're going to stop torturing you. That was the very first thing that they said to me after the flight from LA. So I would suggest that you don't consider moving countries, and I would suggest, yes, absolutely, have your child scanned as often as you want, but remember, because we are an electrical being, if they want to target you and your family, it's very easy to do. And we're seeing this with so many children at the moment who are being targeted. And I'm very sorry for the situation, but again, just stay strong with what you're doing. Do the best you can by your child. And I know you're a great dad, so just stay strong. Hopefully one day, God willing, someone will step up and stop this program. Look, you've got so many countries using that against their own citizens. What is the point? What is the point of doing this? You know, you're going to get rid of humanity. That's not the reason. That's not the reason we are here. You know, our journeys have been stopped from the things that we really want to do. And I would, again, just for your child, I would suggest having your child scanned. However, if nothing does come up, just protecting your child and loving your child as you do now. And one day, hopefully, a whistleblower will step up and stop this nonsense for all of us.
Thank you, Igor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. It's now time for the book club. We can go back to Craig in a moment. I just want to tell you that this week's book is The Memory Police, which is a novel by Yoko Aguana, and it's a haunting Orwellian novel all about state surveillance. I read part of the book, and I found it to be very interesting. If you'd like to join the book club, go to bookclubs.com/TI Book Club/join, and you can be a member of our book club and participate. Matter of fact, the person that gave me the recommendation for this book club participates in the club and puts in entries on her own. So that's me. Anyway, that's the book club for the week. Thank you for your interest. Now back to Craig. Anybody else have a question for Craig?
I'd like to know, did Robert Duncan ever speak of being communicated with or hit with directed energy weapons before he died?
I'm sorry, did he speak about
being communicated with via the technology or being hit with directed energy weapons?
Yeah, his book, and if you don't have it, it's a pretty heavy read, called Project Soulcatcher Volume 2, Secrets of Cyber and Cybernetic Warfare Revealed. And I've got this on my desk in the office. And Robert was targeted himself. And I'll just read you part, if I may, Chris, about what happened to Robert.
Go right ahead.
He said, this book is dedicated to all the people who stood by me during the difficult times while researching and writing it. It was a time where true friends showed their character. Without the love and support of my perfect mother and father, it would not have been written, and the story told after the abuse and physical torture that I had to endure. But there was a light at the end of the tunnel. The shadow agencies showed me everything that they were working on and said if I could survive, I could write about anything that they told me and showed me. I carried the weight of the world in silence on my shoulders like Atlas. Finally, I shrugged to divulge the truth despite threats to kill my family or torture me again from my government handlers. So Robert was murdered. I spoke to him 1 hour before they murdered him. He was in his home and was getting the constant waves of this ridiculous damn technology, excuse my language, and he went out to the car and sat in the car, and we had a conversation, and I invited him to come along to Colorado Springs for part of the TI events weekend back in September last year, 2024. And we determined it was 1 hour after that they say it was a heart attack, but I know it was waves of these directed energy.
Yeah, they gave him a heart attack before he can go to Colorado and spread the word.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He agreed to talk about it with Dr. Len Bear and myself, and it was devastating news.
Anybody have a question for Craig? Come on in. If you want to talk about V2K and the technologies, we're here. If you have a issue, we're here to help. Any questions from the audience? By the
I have
way,
a question.
Go ahead and come on in.
Yes, this is Cece in Sacramento, California, United States. Craig, have you found the reason why the targeting is so much worse in Australia and then parts of East Africa? That's where I've seen the targeting the worst of all.
I can't comment on how, excuse me. I can't comment on how severe the targeting is in East Africa. I know there are people there who are suffering as well. Where it's coming from, is it part of trying to change the thoughts of people in certain countries so that another government can step in? And we're seeing that in the world at the moment. I think it's a big plan here for the short time that people are on Earth in high positions to be able to literally manipulate a population. The torture we're getting down here in Australia has increased. We thought, perhaps some people thought that with the Trump government administration coming into power, it would stop, but it hasn't stopped at all. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm hearing the same story around the world with the people we're in touch with from Icator. Same amount of torture. The torture is being increased around the world.
Thank you, Craig. Any more questions from anyone in the audience? Come on in.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, CC.
Thank
Next
you.
question in line, if you have any questions. Well, I think we got it out of everybody's system. Anybody else would like to ask a question? Come on in. Okay, well, that's a great interview. Thank you, Craig. This will be on all the platforms that I subscribe to, and will be out tomorrow, including Spotify and Rumble. So thank you for your assistance, Craig, and participating in this interview process. Any last comments?
Thank you again, Chris, and thank you for everybody being here today. Stay strong, just keep coming into programs like Chris's. There's so many people who are really suffering, and I hope today somebody who may be a new victim has heard the story, and you can share some of the videos and share this recording to help people in your family understand what you're going through. So thank you for everybody being here today. I really appreciate it, and thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if you have to leave, don't hit the red button. Hit the other blue button, because you'll knock us all off. Because I have you listed as a co-host, but you probably hang around a little bit.
I'll hang around a bit. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's Craig Laforest, ladies and gentlemen, Icator principal, very good person that I've known for quite a while. A good friend, and he's always come to the call when I've asked him to. We'll have you again on in a few months, and that would be great.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your questions. We're going to end the recording in 2 minutes and switch to open mic. Be sure to check out TI Events if you have a chance. TI Events is your place to go for any or all calls, and we'll play a little snippet, a little commercial for them. And
Jamie, being a targeted individual is so isolating. I don't know who to trust or where to turn.
I totally get it, Alex. That's how I felt too, until I found TIEvents.org.
TIEvents.org? What's that?
It's a site that lists everything for TIs. Conference calls, webinars, in-person events, support groups, meetups, and more. There's something happening every day.
Well, that's exactly what I need. Real support from people who understand.
You'll find it all at TIEvents.org. It's been a game changer for me.
TIEvents.org, your one-stop source for all targeted individual events. Visit today and connect with your community.
That's TIEvents.org. Check them out if you'd like to go to a call during the weekday. If you're watching this or listening to it on your platform of preference, you can switch over tonight if it's nighttime or day You might even find a call during the daytime. There's prayer calls, there's science calls, there's open mic calls like mine. Next week is open mic, by the way. We don't have a guest at the end of the month, so you can participate. You can be the star and come on in and talk. Anyway, thank you for watching me on your favorite platform, whether it's YouTube, BitChute, Spotify listening in, or Archive, or YouTube, or Rumble. I think I said YouTube twice. Anyway, God bless everybody and good night. We're going to end the recording now.